My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of The Sound of Freedom. And I didn't even know this movie existed a week ago, but it's been released, and there's a real grassroots campaign behind it. People are watching it, and people are loving it, and it's really catching on to quite an extraordinary degree, especially when you consider the lack of marketing surrounding it. And my mom and dad saw it the other day and they loved it, and they wanted me to see it, so I was just like, okay, I'll go. I didn't have high expectations, and this movie, I do not think it's a good movie. Now, I want to say that I can separate the movie and the message. And I think the message of this movie is very strong. And I think it's trying to spread awareness to a very serious issue. And my thoughts on the movie doesn't negate any of that. But looking at the movie itself, I just think it's very underwhelming in just about every aspect. The directing by Alejandro Montevordu I thought was very amateurish. The cinematography would have a few good shots here and there, but then there would just be a hallmark looking shot, and it was just very inconsistent. The editing I found to be very poor. It does quite a bit of fade ins and fade outs, and not saying it's always the case. Fade ins can be used well every now and again, but usually it gives the movie a cheaper look. I also thought the movie was too long. You could have shaved about 20 minutes out of it and make it tighter, and there's just some scenes with really baffling decisions behind it. Like there's one scene near the end where a character tells someone to close their eyes and the camera turns dark. And I thought you would hear what's happening over the darkness, but then it just kind of resumes where the characters were, and maybe I'm not doing a good job describing it, but it was just a very terribly handled moment. And I thought that the main character, Tim, never felt like an actual real guy, even though he was. Whenever I talk about a movie, I always use the expression, well, not always, but I sometimes use the expression lived in. And what I mean by that is that it doesn't just feel like the characters exist from the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. It feels like they have their own past, their future, motivations, just a fully realized character brought to life. And Tim is far and away from that. It feels like he exists only within this movie's runtime, and like he's got a family, and I thought his family would be a good motivation for him. He's got a bunch of kids that he loves, and it's present for like 5 seconds, and I'm like, that is just wasted potential. Like, what's driving this character? What internal conflict is he having? How is he dealing with the weight of everything? And I just feel like he was very surface level. And look, by all accounts, Jim Caviezel seems like a stand-up guy, but I do find his performance to be awfully flat here. He has a few moments here and there, but it's not great work. Bill Camp was the performance though that I think stood out. I think he had a bit more personality. I loved him in The Queen's Gambit, and I'm not saying he's great here, but he's definitely the best part of this movie. And I do like elements of the story. When I think about the events that happen, I think with a more capable director and a better script, this movie could have been really great and could have had the impact I wanted it to have. But at the end of this movie, there's a few lines of text that appeals, and that had weight to it, but everything within the narrative of this movie, I I just didn't feel the weight and the heaviness as I should. You know, even when they find a kid, you know, you'd expect them to look like they've been through hell, but it looks like they just showed up on set. And it's just the little things that matter. And look, once again, if you want to see this movie, if it's something that you're passionate about and feel compelled to see, then don't let me stop you. Go give it a watch. But from my own subjective point of view, this movie didn't hit me like it's hit so many other people, and it's a movie I found to be underwhelming, and it's a movie I personally found to be bad. So I'll give The Sound of Freedom a 4 out of 10. Okay, have you seen The Sound of Freedom? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.